Happy St. Patrick's Day will be brought to you proudly by UFC Fight Night 127, Werdum, Volkov. Rob, people have given out about this card, saying, they didn't bring the superstars. Look, it's time to stop the cribbing and the crying now. It's starting, it's happening. Werdum, one of the best heavyweights in the planet, taking on Volkov. So the main event, we're going to start at the top of the card and work our way down. So what's your take on this main event, Rob?
It's a great fight. Whatever way you put it, Volkov is making his way up that division, up the rankings. Fabricio Werdum has been one of the best heavyweights forever, for a long time. And he's held the title, he's competed for the title a couple of times. So to be honest, it is a great main event. I just think that a lot of people were expecting some kind of superstar, maybe more representative of the local audience. But I think the fight is a really, really competitive and good fight.
When you look at for Volkov, he's taken a jump up in class here as well. No disrespect again. Timothy Johnson in his UFC debut, then he beat Roy Nelson by unanimous decision. And then TKO'd Stefan Struve back at UFC Fight Night 115. So it's a big step up in Fabricio. Fabricio is sort of, everyone, you got to give it to Fabricio. Everyone was sort of saying he's probably going to be next for Stipe again, and that'll be the rematch. But Fabricio was staying active, staying busy, and in a way, this fight was not really short notice, but it wasn't your normal long. They needed a main event, and Fabricio stood up to it here.
Yeah, Fabricio doesn't seem to mind taking short notice fights anyway. He had that Walt Harris fight. I guess Fabricio kind of looked at Walt Harris as a, maybe a prospect who isn't quite up to his level, and we saw that there was just different levels of the ground game then. So it's definitely a step up for Volkov. It's going to be an interesting one because Fabricio, it's weird. He's a grappler, but he's really developed his striking game lately, over the past few years, to be competitive with pretty much anyone in the division. If you watch any of his fights, even against the good strikers in the division, it's not like back in the day where he used to try pull guard all the time. His Muay Thai game is actually pretty much up to scratch with everybody else, and he's pretty good pretty much everywhere. I think on the feet, in the clinch he's very good, and he's very active. I think that's going to be one of the big factors of this fight, where Volkov doesn't have the best gas tank at the heavyweight division. He has a really good gas tank for the first round. Sometimes that starts to really wane. It's going to be 5 rounds, the main event, and you could see in his last fight he started to slow down. So I think if Fabricio can do what he does, like against Cain Velasquez, where he really put the pressure on early with his strike and landed shots from the outside, landed his leg kicks. He has great leg kicks. His high kicks as well are beautiful. And then when he gets into range, he likes to get that Muay Thai clinch, land knees to the body, land elbows, land shots from there as well. So I think if you can really overwhelm Volkov, it could be really good game plan for him. But the mad thing is, he just doesn't shoot for as many takedowns as you think. He shoots against guys who he knows, I'm going to get a takedown against him, he'll go for it, but he just doesn't shoot that many takedowns anymore. He kind of almost falls into them.
Just what you were saying with it in and around the striking as well. If you look at, he made obviously a huge mistake against Stipe, where for whatever reason he decided to run forward towards Stipe, and he got clipped and got put out. But I think in some ways he's happy to clinch, land the knees, like you were saying, the thigh, because if someone grabs a leg and takes him down, he doesn't mind being there.
He almost wants to be there.
Exactly,
so
yeah. So he doesn't mind committing to a kick if he throws a kick. But for me here, Fabricio probably wins this fight. He's probably the next title challenger after DC and Stipe do their thing. So I think it'd be smart to stay out of the stand up with Volkov here. Volkov, this is what, as you said, he starts fast. So don't allow him that opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't test your ego and try.
I don't think you will, because Werdum, looking at that fight where he walked into Stipe, I think looking back at his last fight against Tybura, although Tybura is on a different level, I think what he showed in that fight when he was coming forward and he was being defensively sound, that he made them improvements. He doesn't want that to happen again. Now, if he comes up against someone like Stipe, who's a good counter puncher, maybe it could happen again. But from what I seen, I thought that he made some improvements in his strike and defense coming forward. Volkov, he's obviously a big guy. He likes to fight. Although he's not great at fighting behind his jab, but that's kind of like what he likes to do. But if you watch, say, the Stefan Struve fight, and Stefan Struve doesn't fight behind the jab, Stefan Struve could get in on him.
A picture of me last week going,
yeah.
Sorry.
Stefan Struve could get in on him, and he landed some good shots from the clinch. So I think Werdum's a way better clinch striker than Stefan Struve. But it'd be interesting if he can get a takedown for Werdum, because we haven't seen Volkov off his back a whole lot.
Yeah.
And Werdum likes to get that single leg as well. And Volkov, the way he fights is generally his lead leg is way forward. He has a very wide stance, so that single leg could come in there as well. I just think Werdum on the feet, I think he can deal with whatever Volkov can do. Although Volkov can kind of fight in them crazy sports, like really quick and then stop, and really quick and then stop. I think Werdum can take advantage of when he stops in that area. But I'm gonna go with Werdum. Finish. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a finish. I'm gonna say Volkov is gonna slow down and he's gonna get a finish in, say, the third round. Some kind of submission. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's gonna weather any storm. I think he is gonna. Werdum, I think he likes testing his abilities as well. It's not like when he was fighting back when he fought Fedor, and was literally like, as well, you know, he pulled down into the guard where he was fighting Alistair Overeem that time, more so actually rather than the Fedor fight, where he was just begging.
He's got really good on his feet. He got good enough to compete with pretty much anyone in the division.
So I think he'll happily mix that up, close the distance, get some sort of takedown.
Terrion's quite good as well.
Yeah, he is for a big man as well. Yeah,
and doesn't have that physique of what you think a cardio machine would have.
Hopefully, he doesn't do that face. He does that.
Oh, yeah, you don't like that, don't you?
It annoys me. But yeah, I'm going to go with Werdum. Sub here as well, either in the second or third round, just to do his game. I just don't think there's anybody in the heavyweight division that if Fabricio Werdum gets on top of you or is on the ground with you that is going to get out of it. So I'm going to go with Werdum. Submission as well. Your co-main event is woman with local interest. A rematch. Jimi Manuwa. Jesus Christ, no, you really played that one. Jimi Manuwa taking on... when did they fight, dude?
That's Skype connecting.
We're
having terrible internet issues here. We'll see now after this.
When did these fight before? Jan...
Jesus, they fought Blachowicz a long time ago. Was that like 2 years ago or something? Maybe 3 years ago?
And this was... if Atten...
I can check it. I have Google here.
This was one of the fights that when this was announced, it looked like this was going to be the main event. And a lot of people sort of went, ugh, to this. They went unanimous. It was back in 2015.
Yeah,
April 2015.
3 years to the day, or 3 years to the month almost.
Yeah. So what's going to be different this time around? Jimi Manuwa, of course, coming off a devastating knockout loss to Volkan Ozdemir. That's going to, like, if you look at the way he's lost in his last two losses are against Anthony Rumble Johnson and Ozdemir, both in devastating fashion.
And then Gustafsson before that.
Yeah, so just...
That's the thing. That was the point I was going to bring up. Jimi Manuwa, it's well documented how late he started MMA and how good he's got since he started MMA. It's crazy to think that he's 38, doesn't have a whole lot of fights. So you can look back at his career and you can say, well, he's 38, but he hasn't been in so many wars that it's like a crazy number, like a Dan Henderson or something like that at 38. But if you look at the way he's lost, as you said, those 3 knockout losses are just devastating knockout losses, like clean, out cold, career-changing knockout losses. So when he's coming into this one, he won the last fight, but he's coming into it off the back of probably the worst knockout loss that he's had of Volkan. Not only did Volkan knock him out, but when he hit the floor and his head bounced, and it was just a vicious one. That's 3 knockout losses in your career in the UFC within the space of 2 years. At 38, that can't be good.
No.
Definitely can't be good. So that's something that I feel that you really have to take into account. The first fight wasn't a runaway either. The first fight was a pretty much a stand-up fight with Jimi Manuwa coming forward and Jan Blachowicz just trying to counter from the outside. And I don't feel like the fight will look a whole lot different. And I think if it does look the same, if it's going to be Jimi Manuwa coming forward and Jan Blachowicz just trying to counter, I think Jimi Manuwa can still win this fight. But I think if Jan Blachowicz can start coming forward, start pressing the action, he could do something different. Because I feel like even though Jimi Manuwa is an excellent striker, I feel like Tybura is probably a more diverse striker. He can do a little bit more. Whereas Jimi Manuwa has probably the X factor of the bigger punches, the more flashier knockouts, that kind of stuff. But I just feel like Jan Blachowicz can do a little bit more. I think he can fight backwards a little bit better. I think if Manuwa gets pushed backwards, I'm not sure he could fight as well as Jan Blachowicz could fight going backwards. if you agree with that.
That sounds hard to say. Jan Blachowicz going backwards.
Yeah. But I nailed it.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. Yeah. In some ways, I have to stop saying I'm saying it a lot. I keep going In some ways, Jimi Manuwa, I think, underestimate is probably the wrong thing to say, but I think he thought he had the beating of Volkan Ozdemir, and I think thought he had the beating.
Nobody knew who Volkan was, really.
Exactly. And then Volkan just landed that. Because I remember watching it, and Jimmy had him up against the cage, and it looked like Jimmy was just going to go dirty boxing uppercuts today. Yeah. And it looks just like that was going. Next minute, all of a sudden, Manuwa was falling backwards, and you were sort of having, what happened? So I think as much as it was a heavy knockout, the fact it's in London, Jimi Manuwa, local lad, coming back, has a win over Błachowicz already. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jimi Manuwa here. I hope, like a lot of the times when you watch Jimi Manuwa, some of his fights, he goes absolutely headhunting, but it's when he works and sets up the knockouts that they really come.
Yeah.
Like where the KO of Owen St. Peru, where he basically boxed him around the cage, he literally followed him, just knocking him out all the way along. Yeah,
the left
my
hook.
God. But Jimi Manuwa is an English Anthony Rumble Johnson in so many ways. But if Jan can take him into the deep waters in the later rounds, it'd be interesting to see how the gas tank holds up as well, being 38 years of age.
And the chin. You have to wonder about that.
Yeah, but I think Ozdemir has sort of shown when he lands on people, that's what happens. Anthony Rumble Johnson, when he lands on people, we see what happens. So
of course, that's the thing I was going to say, was that you can't say, oh, maybe he has a poor chin because he got knocked out by these guys. But what I mean is, he's been knocked out 3 times now, and he's 38. Now you have to start thinking,
I agree
is he eventually going to get there where his chin is going to start to degrade?
I agree with that as well, though. I think knockouts and stuff like that, almost like, I use the video game analogy every time, but it's almost like, when your full energy regains, it never gets back to 100%. Yeah. And I'd agree with that with knockouts. Like when you have a knockout bar, when you get knocked out, it depletes, and then when it energizes, it's not as strong as it was. And then again, it doesn't quite get there. So that's certainly a fact. Will we see the answers? We will on Saturday night. But I'm going to go with Manuwa here for the home crowd win here. The fact it's in London is a big deal for him as well. Potentially could be his last fight though as well. 38 years of age, that weight class. Do you see Jimi Manuwa pushing for the belt in that division?
I don't, but I still see him getting a few more fights. Unless he loses.
Exciting fight.
Very, very exciting. The reason why I'm going to agree with you and I'm going to go with Manuwa as well is because looking back on the first one and looking at Blachowicz since then, I don't know what he's going to do to change what he did in that fight. As in all of his fights, pretty much most of them, he'll allow the guy to take the centre and allow to control the dance. And I just feel that if you let Jimi Manuwa, like in the first fight, control the dance, take the centre, he's just really comfortable there. I think he's too comfortable there, and I don't think Blachowicz is going to be able to counter him. But if he starts coming forward, he starts trying to mix it up, maybe go for a few takedowns, maybe look for a clinch, it could be a different fight. But I just feel like he's going to fall into that game that he's fell into in a lot of fights, and he's lost a lot of decisions. And he hasn't been knocked out either, Blachowicz, so that's a big point for him. But he's fell into that thing of allowing the other guy to take the centre, get the offense, and just try counter. And it's difficult to win fights like that on decision. So I'm going to go with Jimi Manuwa. I'm going to say decision.
Excellent. Done it again. Stop saying Tom Duquesnoy, Terrion Ware. This is the Fire Kid making his return from his last defeat at the hands of Cody Stamen. So again, this would be a big test, but for me, this is almost like a hometown fight for Tom Duquesnoy.
In a way, yeah.
Of course, obviously with London different, he would have fought in Birmingham a lot, fought over here in Dublin, but I mean over this side of the world. Obviously Tom Duquesnoy is a Frenchman. Terrion Ware's opponent is currently lost his last 2 fights to Sean O'Malley and Cody Stamen.
He's had a tough run.
So he's had a tough run, and then he's getting Tom Duquesnoy, so he's not getting any easier. But for me, what will be interesting here is to see Tom Duquesnoy after this loss, because in the Stamen fight, I think a lot of people were surprised that come the 3rd round, Cody Stamen was winning the stand-up. Yeah. And I don't think any person picking fights was putting that as a
I think
possible
if you were going to pick Stamen, it would have been just outpointing him on the floor, getting up against the cage, stuff like that. But yeah, you start outstriking him.
He did. He was picking Tom Duquesnoy apart. Tom Duquesnoy, we spoke about it before. He's the potential is in there in Tom Duquesnoy, but one of Tom Duquesnoy's biggest flaws is Tom Duquesnoy gets hit.
Yes,
he does get hit. So he's got to address that. I'm sure he has. He's only a young man. I'm not too sure what age Tom Duquesnoy is. He must be only in his early 20s, is he?
Want to continue?
But it's something that he needs to correct, especially at this level of fighting as well. There's no easy fights in the UFC. A lot of people, like, I know Cody Stamen when he was on with us was, again, he felt that Tom Duquesnoy was getting the promotional rub and that type of thing. I think it was warranted. Where you look at some of the knockouts over, like the Shea Walsh, the Damien Rooney knockouts on Duquesnoy, the performances he had, the finish of Alan Philpott. Tom Duquesnoy, the hype is real in that sense, and you can't blame the UFC for wanting to promote that. But the one thing you can't hide behind hype is when someone is getting hit. Yeah. Alan Philpott really tested Tom Duquesnoy that night in Dublin. And Duquesnoy stood up to the challenge and came back and got the victory. But when you're fighting in the UFC, there's not really room for forgiveness. If you're there and you're getting hit, these guys are going to be willing to take advantage of that. And when you look at the Stamen fight as well, the getting hit like that, not only does it hurt, but it depletes the gas tank. It empties the gas tank, it slows you down. And he had nothing in the third round. Yeah. And the third round was a comfortable third round for Cody Stamen. Yeah. So Tom Duquesnoy, has he addressed that? Will he fight differently? Will we see a more moving Tom Duquesnoy? He sort of used to go for that style because he'd take your shot to land his, but his shots could finish you. As I mentioned, like that finish of Shea Walsh in Birmingham that night, holy Lamb of God, one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen live.
It's scary.
So
scary.
He has the potential there.
And the Rooney one was scary.
Yeah, right in front of me. Rooney just looking like shark eyes at me.
Yeah.
When it happened. But insane knockouts.
Terrifying.
But Duquesnoy's got things to correct. He is young. He's only a young mixed martial artist. So there's the time is there to do them. Has he done them in time for this fight? I'm interested to see. When these young fighters, like we always say, Rob, I'm like a broken record with this. When these young fighters go away and are gone for a while, like when was that Stamen fight? That was back in October.
Yeah.
So when they go away, we're 5 months. The improvements in that time frame, especially, I'm sure he's over in Jack Winklejohn working with Manu Shadow as well. So I'm expecting to see a much more improved Tom Duquesnoy, and even saying that sounds deadly.
Yeah, it's a really, really good fight. I feel like it's a perfect matchup for Tom Duquesnoy. Not as in it's favourable. I think it is favourable in a way, but I also think it's a perfect matchup from the UFC because I think that Terrion Ware is the type of guy who Tom Duquesnoy can have trouble with. I think Terrion Ware, if you look at his fight with Cody Stamen, look at his fight with Sean O'Malley, he really pushed the action, he really stayed in there, didn't get finished, and stayed in there to the end. And I think when you look back at the Stamen fight versus Tom Duquesnoy, Stamen was a similar fighter in the sense of he's going to stay in there, he's going to push the action, he's not going to back down. And I think Tom Duquesnoy sometimes has problems when guys come at him. Remember the Brendan Loughnane fight? That was a very, very close fight. Brendan Loughnane didn't really give him an inch.
A lot of people thought Loughnane won that fight.
A lot of people thought he won the fight. I thought it was close. But you look at the Philpott in the first round, Philpott kept coming forward, didn't give him an inch. The Stamen fight as well. So I think with losing his name here. With Terrion Ware here, he's a really good boxer. So if in the first round Tom Duquesnoy can't start landing his good shots and Terrion Ware can start taking over, I think it could be a really interesting matchup. I think on paper you have to side with Tom Duquesnoy. I think he's the more talented fighter, but I just think Terrion Ware is the type of guy that you're not going to have a beautiful performance against. I think if Tom Duquesnoy wins this, it might be a little bit ugly at times. I don't think it's going to be a perfect performance where he gets a finish really early. I think it's going to be a tough one. It might be a decision. It might be one of them ones where he gets hit again. I just hope he has corrected that issue that he's had, because it's definitely an issue. It's something that he brought up that he wanted to fix. Yeah. So, I'm going to go with Tom Duquesnoy, but I really think that this could be a tough fight for him. I think it could be a tough one. I think on paper, when you're looking at Terrion, where you're like, oh, he's 0-2 in the UFC, but they're two really good guys. Yeah. And
it wasn't, look at what Sean O'Malley done last week. You know,
exactly. And he wasn't blown out of the water against either. So it's a close one. On paper, you have to go with Tom Duquesnoy. I just think that he is the better fighter. So I'm going to say Tom Duquesnoy, but probably a decision. I don't know if he's going to finish him.
A couple of things you're saying were favourable, and I really do emphasise the fact that it's in the UK. I really think that's favourable for him. You know, his first fight in the UFC, he got the knockout in the second round over Patrick Williams. and then obviously the Stamen loss. I came as a surprise to Tom Duquesnoy, obviously, but I think he's going to want to correct a lot of wrongs here and show that the hype is real, and it's going to be a hungry young Frenchman in there. So I am going to go with the Fire Kid as well, and I agree with you, Rob. I think it's going to be a hard fight.
I think it's going to be a tough one.
I think it, like, as in,
where is
by
tough?
Hard as well, I don't mean, I just mean it's going to be, he's really going to have to dig deep in some moments.
I don't think it's going to go all his way. I don't think it's going to go all his way, even if he wins.
But that could be a good fight for Tom Duquesnoy.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a good matchup. I think it's a good test for him. And Tom Duquesnoy, when we were speaking with him on the show here, he's definitely the type of guy who comes off as he wants to fight the best guys. He wants to be in there. He wants to be challenged. And that's one of the reasons why he didn't immediately go to the UFC. It's not just about the money or making a name. It's to be the best. And I think he'll really love this fight if it is a test for him. But it's a good fight. It's a really good fight.
I'm going to go with Tom Duquesnoy, and it's decision. Tom Duquesnoy again. I don't think he'll stop him. I just think it's a good fight for him to get cage experience, to get used to the UFC campus. I just think
Terrion Ware,
I know.
He's had a terrible run, like as in not like
as in just the people he's getting matched against.
Fuck.
Yeah.
What did he do to Sean Shelby?
But this is what you were talking about when we had Cody on about the young upcoming fighters, the young new breed of MMA fighters. So again, he's getting put in there with a Tom Duquesnoy, and you could argue the point that, Ware's getting this guy at the right time, coming off a loss. He's only young, so from Ware's point of view, it's like, I'd rather fight Tom Duquesnoy now rather than 2 years' time.
Our point of view, it's like, he's getting a terrible run, but he's like, I love this fight. This is Tom Duquesnoy's a big name, and he's coming off a loss. I love it.
And that's one thing that Cody Stamen said as well. Cody wasn't getting any hype. He goes out and beats Tom Duquesnoy, and then all of a sudden people are talking about Cody Stamen. So it's certainly a point. Another local UK fighter, Leon Roberts, of course, brother of Fabian, who we on last week, is taking on Peter Sobotta, the German, against the UK man. So there's a fun rivalry already before we get into this. But what's your thoughts and takes in this one up?
First one is Sobotta hasn't fought since May of 2017, and I was like, why hasn't he fought in so long? Googled it. Remember, he broke his hand against Ben Saunders, and apparently the surgeons had to take some bone from his hip to fix his hand.
Wow.
It was a crazy surgery he had to get. So first things first is May 2017 hasn't fought almost a year. And I doubt he done too much sparring or training with that hand.
That's true, yeah.
So that's a big factor going into this fight. But looking at this one, I feel like both guys are similar in the sense of they're both really well-rounded. They prefer to strike, and they're both good strikers, but they have good ground games as well. So I think it's going to be, the majority of the fight is going to be on the feet, and it's going to be really about who can get their jab going, who can dominate the range. But it's almost like a unorthodox fighter versus more of an orthodox fighter, whereas Leon Edwards, I think he looks like a more classically trained kickboxer, whereas Sobotta will drop his hands and he'll land these weird shots from weird angles and stuff. But they're both pretty good strikers and they have power. So I think it could be an excellent fight. I think it's a great opener for the card.
Yeah, I agree that this is it's a very they're very
well matched.
If these are Trop Hunt cards and you were playing Trop Hunt against one and you go power, you're like 78 I'm 79. Oh, there you go. You know what I mean? I think a lot of them, when you match them up, they're very even in skills. Time away, a year. We're talking about a year, whatever. Like, is a year that long nowadays?
No, it's not that long. But I just think the problem is the broken hand.
Yeah, like you look at young Paul Hughes, the issues Paul's had with his hands. Jesus, Paul, shout out to you, my man. Hopefully the hands heals and get back in there.
This is his first fight back. Like, he might be a little bit hesitant throwing that hand. I'm not sure. I guess it was his. I don't know what hand it was actually. What is he? Let me check his.
Yeah, but Sobotta it's an evenly matched fight. Leon Edwards is having a great time since he's gone to the UFC as well. He's on a good run.
He's a southpaw, so I guess it was probably his left hand.
He's currently on a 4-fight win streak as well. So confidence will be high for Leon Edwards coming into this. The fact that he's fighting in the UK as well, that's going to come into play as
big
well.
Big time. And Fabian just won as well. So that's going to give him a bit of a boost. I think it's an interesting one because just looking at there, they're both southpaws. So Leon Edwards is really good with that liver kick, but that's not really there anymore. Southpaw versus southpaw. It is, but not quite as, it's not an open stance. So It'd be interesting to see, and then I suppose the jab is even way more important now. Both have similar reach.
I think worth noting as well, though, and it's what Fabian done at the weekend as well, is that when it goes to the ground, Leon Edwards can just snap up a submission like that. So he has it, like, again, it's almost similar to what I was saying with Werdum. He's comfortable in the strike and he's comfortable throwing kicks because he knows if it goes to the ground he can pull off submission. But very closely, I'm interested to see, actually.
It's a good fight.
Fill airtime there. I'm going to check the odds here actually on this just to see.
Yeah, it's I just feel, for me, and the reason why I'm siding towards Edwards is just I feel that technically he's a little bit better on the feet. I think he can. I just think he can land the better shots. I think Sobotta, although he has probably comparable power in a way and he can land those big shots, I just feel like Edwards is going to be able to outpoint him with his more technically crisp striking. He's very, very technical on the feet. Again, on the floor, I think similar enough, but I think Edwards takes it. He's excellent submissions, and I just feel like that broken hand is a tough one. It's a year out with a broken hand, and a severely broken hand too. Ouch.
I'm tutting at the moment, just looking on a certain website because they only have odds for the main and co-main. So I'm on a different website now that looks like it doesn't have them either. That's interesting. That
a bit closer to the fight.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting. Two big bookmakers there only have the Manuwa and Werdum fight up.
Yeah.
Look at a rival website. Hold on.
The rival website.
But I think it's a close.
Bookmakers you used.
I think it's a close fight, but I would lean towards Leon Edwards. Not just because Leon is no backwards, but I just think he's
very good.
Sharper. His tools are just a little sharper.
I agree.
Leon Edwards.
So, under the radar picks, is there any fights on the prelim card that you're looking at? You're like, oh, this is an excellent fight.
The finally happening debut of the white Mike Tyson, John Phillips, taking on Charles Byrd. If you haven't seen John Phillips fight before, boy, are you in for a treat. John Phillips kills or gets killed. Basically, his own words. He wants to go in there and he's gone in there to take Charles Byrd head off. He wants it done within the first punch of the fight if he could. But he will throw kills into every shot he's thrown. Purely entertainment, John Phillips. He is unparalleled power. The power he throws in the shots is phenomenal. I've seen him knock people out live and it's devastating. I've seen him hit pads and I feel sorry for his pad man. So I'm really excited for the UFC debut of John Phillips.
Yeah, it's an excellent fight. And just looking at the card, this is like the card of the past guests. There's so many past guests in this card, it's crazy. So we have Tom Duquesnoy is on the card, past guest.
Yeah.
John Phillips, past guest. Then we have Danny Henry's on the card, which that's a fight I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
Danny Henry's debut was insane. Former EFC champ. Very, very good fighter. Paul Craig, past champ. That's a good fight.
Past guest.
Past champ as well. Yeah. And Stevie Ray, past guest. And Mark Godbeer. So it's a lot of fights there with past guests, but they're all good fights.
Godbeer's got a very tough one against
that's a tough fight. And Stevie Ray, glad to see he's re-signed with the UFC. Cajun Johnson, I think I'd favour Stevie Ray in that one, but
you'd hope with Stevie, everything Stevie went through with all that tobacco.
If he gets a win, that'd be a huge moment for him, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
It would be nice to see, to be fair.
Badly needed as well. But yeah, there is a good field. The undercard, and this is the great thing about the London card, is like you've got Brad Scott taking on Jack Marsden as well. All local interest. Danny Roberts taking on in camp as well. All local, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of young UK fighters.
It's weird to see a London card with any Irish guys on it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you think about it, like, there's not many Irish guys in there anymore.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
We're not, Siri's retired.
Yeah.
Paddy's retired. Carl's retired.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's Connor, Ash retired.
That's true.